Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in. My name is Taimur Pervez. I lead the inside sales team at AlphaBOLD. For those who don't know us, we're a technology consulting company based out of California, Carlsbad. We're a Microsoft solutions partner. The reason we're here today is because Microsoft is pulling the plug on Microsoft Project, which means PWA, which is Project Web App, goes with it. So the hard stop is September 30th. Most of you are either using PWA or are really interested to know what the exit options are. Luckily, we'll be covering a few options today and show you a Microsoft native exits for most system integration teams, ideally for SMEs. With that, I'll just go straight into the agenda for today. Right. So again, like I said, the countdown has already begun, and we'll briefly take you through it. We're already kind of four stages into the countdown, but the final and hard stop comes 30th September when PWA finally goes away. What happens then? Microsoft is actually obviously giving out some options. There are some free options as well. As we all know, there are no free lunches. So there will be options that suit some, but not the others. And like we said, we'll be covering a bunch of those options today. And you choose what suits you better. We'll be comparing different options based on what works for whom. There'll be a live walkthrough later based on the Power App solution. And then we'll also give you options to engage with us in terms of your migration or just to have a candid discussion, which can lead to an assessment. And then we'll finish with the final next step, and we'll give you options. We'll leave some time for Q&A as well. So during the demo, please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A section. And at the end, I'll make sure that I cover the questions with our presenter, Tayyab. With that, I'll just quickly do formal intros and then I'll hand over to Tayyab for the demo itself. Right. So again, like I said before, this is me, Taimur. I lead the inside sales team. I've spent over 16 years in technology sales. I'm really passionate about technology. I have a master's in innovation management. But we're lucky today to have our VP consulting, Tayyab here. He's had over 20 years experience in consulting. He actually has a master's in AI. So he's been delivering AI solutions way before AI became all the buzz. He's got a lot of experience with ERP implementations. He's a powerhouse when it comes to Microsoft itself. And as you'll see later today, he's excellent at demos. Even if there's a glitch, he'll make you feel that that's probably a feature. So he's really good that way. And with that, I just pass on to Tayyab. But like I said before, I'd love this to be interactive. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. And at the end, I'll make sure that I can ask Tayyab those questions, or we can get back to you on those. Over to you, Tayyab.
Thank you so much, Tamar. So I'll jump right in. The idea of this webinar is to educate you on what options you have as Project Online and Microsoft Project goes away. Project Desktop is not going away, and I know a lot of you love that product, so know that you can continue to use that. But as Temur mentioned, the countdown is on right now. September 30th is the drop dead date. But you can see here as to how it has evolved over the last year or so. And right now, we are in the extended support. So if you guys are planning, and it happens a lot with Microsoft products that they keep on extending, at least what we are hearing from Microsoft, and the reason why we're doing this webinar is that there won't be another extension. And Microsoft always says that, so please don't hold it against me if there is. But we would rather you plan in advance and are ready to transition than to be hampering towards September 30th and trying to figure out what do you need to do with your project sites and the data that you have against PWA. So why does it matter? It matters because without exaggeration, your PWA project sites are going to go away. So if you whether you listen to more of this webinar and then you kind of analyze the options we are going to discuss today or not, you have to make sure that you start migrating your sites and your data because that is going away. So you have to put it on a site that stays with you. And there are, based on what we are hearing, like I shared, we don't have any safety net as yet because we know that they have extended it enough and they don't extend it anymore. That's just one of the projects that Microsoft is, application that Microsoft is doing away with. And obviously, the fact that you have SharePoint and the sites created against Project Online, all of that goes away as well, along with Project Online aspect of things. So if you're using Project Online, it's a good time for you to start thinking about it. I do want to share with you, we were a host at Power Platform Conference back in 2025 October, and there are lots of conversations I had with people around this retiring, and I know a lot of them are still using it. So if you're one of those, then you're running out of time. So we better start thinking about it. And that's the point of this webinar. All right. So one of the options from Microsoft is to just go to Planner. And I think a lot of you probably have already used Planner. And those of you who have already know that Planner is not necessarily a project management tool. It's a team collaboration tool. That's how I see it and how I call it. You can have tasks and buckets and you can track those, but you can't really have large projects tracked into Planner. You can't really have automations around notifications and so on and so forth. You can have Planner Premium that does come with Project Plan 3 and 5. So it will give you then the task list and some sort of a Gantt view. And then you can have obviously your desktop apps as well. But what you still don't have is you don't have the same level of resource assignment. And most importantly, you don't have what we think is critical for any organization that is seriously using project management is stage gating, so that you could have a process and the tasks are in context of that process. And as you move to the next stage in the process, you could move to next set of tasks. That's number one. Number two, what you don't have is you want to div up a project into either phases or sections, and then you want to assign those to specific individuals that are relevant for that piece of that project execution. Obviously, you don't get that with Planner Premium as well. So just to give you a perspective on what's available with the free planner and where you will fall short. And this is a more comprehensive overview of that. If you're an SME, you obviously have an option to go to D365 Project Ops. If you go to D365 Project Ops, I'm pretty sure you're familiar that that comes with D365 FNO, so you need at least 20 licenses. So is it the right size for an SME? We do have some SMEs who are using Project Ops as our customers, but if you're just using light project, which means that you are using Project Online, transitioning from Project Online to D365 Project Ops is like you're driving a scooty and now you have decided that my next move is going to be to buy a Ferrari. So that's pretty big of a jump. And there are multiple things you can do. And that's not the only option that you have. So you have multiple options. That's what we will be discussing today. But this grid kind of covers a lot of these things for you. We are also sharing with you a Power Platform option. We have over the years built a lot of project management IP inside Power Platform. So I will demonstrate that as we go further in this webinar. It's important that you could keep your teams in SharePoint, so you'll be able to do that with all the options that we have. Stage gating is not there with obviously Free Planner, but you have that in all of these three solutions. This, by the way, is Project Server Subscription Edition, which is the on-prem. I would not recommend, at least for any of my customers, to go on this, but I do have some customers who are using it still, which is kind of a heavy lift from the maintainability perspective as well as the server side of things and hosting. But that is just to make sure that we give you all different options in totality, that we have captured that in this table. Avoid new license costs. So here I say yes and no, because if you go to the free planner from Project Online, then there is no additional license. But if you go to Plan 3 or Premium or Plan 5, then you have additional licenses, $30 with Plan 3 and $55, I think, with Plan 5. If you go to D365 Project Ops, and avoid new license costs, you can't. You have to have new licenses. You have to have new licenses here. And it's a yes and no over here, because if you already have M365 E5, for example, some of those licenses already give you Power App licenses. And sometimes a lot of our customers already have Power App that they're using across their organization. So if you're doing that, then you don't have any additional license, and then you can just transition from PWA onto your Power Platform. And in terms of the effort, obviously these two not fit for SMEs because it's a high effort. It's a low effort if you obviously go with Planner, but you don't really get the same functionality or even close to that. And Power Platform is a medium option, and I'll talk more about that in terms of how you can migrate over from PWA to Power Platform. I wouldn't call it low, but it then gives you everything that you have in Project Online and a lot more in terms of your ability to be able to manage those projects. Any questions we have so far on this previous slide in terms of the comparisons demo? And if you guys have any questions on that, please feel free to ask, because I've had tons of questions around what will happen when PW goes away and what are the options. So I tried to cover those in this one slide, but if you have any questions, we can take those right now. But with that, Tamil, I'll just continue.
Not yet there, but I think let's take the questions till at the end.
Sure, perfect. All right. So things to consider before you pick the tool. Um, the important thing is that, at least based on the customers that we work with, and we work with a lot of customers that are system integrators, a lot in the AEC space, but then we are also industry agnostic. And we have done a lot of projects. We've done D365 project ops as well, but we have done a lot of Power Platform implementations just for project planning automation. And what's very important for the project managers is to be able to see what's coming next in the project, right? Then they want a system that could remind and block stages and remind on tasks that are due or overdue. And what they also want is that they want something that could be configurable, where they don't have to have a heavy lift and they have to start from scratch. So they could just start using it, and it gets them to 70-80%, and then we can bridge the gap in terms of their specific use cases into that platform. So with the Power Platform option, which is going to be mostly the focus of rest of this webinar, and I'm going to cover Project Ops for a little bit as well in the demo, but Power Platform does offer you all of these options. The first thing is it is still a Microsoft native technology. It's part of the Dataverse. It integrates with SharePoint. It integrates with your Outlook. It integrates with your team. So a lot of the things that you are getting with Project Online, you automatically get through Power Platform. And essentially, you don't necessarily need an enterprise application license. When I say enterprise application, I'm talking about FNO or D365 CE. You can have a Power Platform license. And like I shared before, you don't always need a Power Platform license, because if you already are using Power Apps, then you already have that license. And it does allow you to be able to have stage gating, and I'll show that in the demo as well. So what we will be covering in the live demo today is I want to show you stage gated workflows. I want to show you another representation of what you have been using in PWA. I want to showcase to you how that would integrate with SharePoint. I want to be able to talk about the fact that you don't need a huge license for that. And I also want to talk about reporting. So you have some out of the box reports that you can still do, or views that you can still build in Power Platform, but you can also do dashboards, right? So you will be able to build your dashboards. And if you have Power BI licenses, you can incorporate those dashboards right within Power Automate. Sorry, within your Power Apps, model-driven Power Apps. And in addition to all of that, you still have access to Power Automate, which means that you can automate a lot of your tasks as well. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just show you the demonstration. And this is kind of in line with the flow. This is a generic flow. What I'll be showing you is a little different, but most of the organization, if you're in system engineering or you're in AEC, you would have some sort of a stages. These can be configured to your needs. It can be any of your state. It could be sales, it could be engineering, it could be procurement, it could be implementation, whatever you want to call it. And then you can have gates where you say, I cannot go ahead of procurement unless I have POs issued and drawings approved, or so on and so forth. And it can lock some of these stages. So it kind of can give you one gate open, stage locked, because I haven't been able to complete all the tasks. And with that, I'm going to share my other screen and show you a demonstration of this system. And before I jump onto this, I'll quickly also show you project ops. Okay, cool. So this is some of the Power Apps that we have built that I will be demonstrating. But before I go into that, this is project ops, right? So I want to just give you a perspective on what's different between these two. So you see, project ops natively, the way it is built is it is more for where you want to have very granular task assignment to a resource, and then you want to be able to track utilizations, you want to be able to track allocation of different people across different projects, you want to have schedule boards, you want to have resource management, and then over and above you also want to be able to have some sort of a schedule, but it is less task based and more schedule based. And for some organizations, at least in the AEC space, it's an overkill, because I'm not saying by any stretch of imagination that you guys are not interested in time tracking, but it does offer a lot more, which makes it a heavy lift in terms of its setup, and be able to uh, use this platform as well. And then, based on the fact that it's an enterprise level application, it does offer you a lot of features from resource reconciliation perspective, booked versus assigned, time phase estimates, tracking, sales side of things. A lot of that is kind of grouped into it already out of the box, but you have to set up all of these things. And setting up all of these things does mean that you have to configure them, and you need that sort of a heavy lift to get this project ops in place. Project ops is not the core focus of our webinar, because we don't feel that if you're using project online, you should be transitioning to project ops. Yes, if you have customized project online extensively and you're able to get a lot more out of it than it was originally built to deliver, then we can definitely have a conversation with you. We can have a more tailored demo on project ops and we can show you its functionality. But for the most part today, I'm going to just close this tab and focus on the Power App solution here. So what you see here is your projects. So look at it from the perspective of when you open up PWA online, you see a list of your projects, and each project has at the back end a SharePoint list or a SharePoint site. And then on that, you can have your folders and you can have your documents and you can have your lists. So those projects that you see in the first view will transition over here, right? So you will be able to see all those projects like this. And just like over there, you can add multiple columns in here. So I can, for example, go in and I can say I want to see a status column in here. I set the status column, and now all of a sudden I have this status column in there as well. And I can track these projects by different statuses. And I can have different views. So for example, I can go to this Kanban view. This will show me my Kanban into projects, and I can have different again phases of these projects, and I can move these projects around these different phases. So for example, I have this project, I say, okay, this is moving to this stage. I can just transition it from one to the other. So you saw that project just move here. And this is just one additional function, but you can have multiple different views. Some of our clients call this a dashboard. Some of them call it tables. I call them views. That's the default name given to them from Microsoft. So you can just set up your views, and each persona in your organization can save their own views. So they're not dependent on going to someone to configure these. You just save your views and then use your views. Once, and you can have multiple columns in there. I'm going to go into an individual project. I'm going to take away this left nav. In here, you can see I have different stages of this project execution. Each of these is a stage, and I can move between stages, and I can also have different steps. Right, this is what stage gating is that I was sharing in the previous slide that I covered with you. I can have any of these steps as required, and then unless I have completed that step, if I would hit next stage, you will see here how it transitions to the next stage. But if I had a required step which is not done, it would just block me. And that enforces a project management discipline from the organization wide rollout perspective. Also, I can have reporting on all of these stages. So at any given point in time, you can decide which stages should be assigned to which team. So, for example, if you are looking at the traditional sense, you're in a procurement stage, only procurement team can come in and move that to the next stage. Then, if you're in an implementation stage, only your engineering or implementation team can come in and move it to the next stage. So you have those provisions where you can have tight governance on the project. And as they come in, they will only see their tasks that are specific to them. And as they complete those, they can just go to the next stage, and the next person in the queue picks it up, and then they take it forward from there. You see fields in here as well. You can add as many fields as you want, but for this one, I just have some basic fields because it's a generic demo. So I have this design build, but whichever your application function is or your business function is, we can incorporate that in. You can track multiple sites against your project. The navigation runs on the top. So if I go to teams in here, I can set up an internal team. I can stack a stakeholders team. I can set up field teams. These are all the people who are assigned on this project, and I can have assigned roles for them. So this person is a project manager. I can change these roles. I can set all these roles as part of your onboarding into the platform. So for example, if I go in here, you see I have all these. I'm going to just X out of it. I don't want to change anything in this. So I just go in and say I changed it. So I'm going to keep it to project manager for now. Come in and say, this guy is a project manager. And I can specify these roles across all of these team members I have. I can also have external stakeholders. So obviously the projects you're doing them for your customers, you're doing them um, depending upon the type of your business. There could be different roles within the customer, so you can track those as well in here. Now, from the migration perspective from PWA, you see here, I see my documents. So what's happening in here is that your project sites will be transitioned. Transition it back to this. Will be transitioned to SharePoint sites, and those SharePoint sites will get linked to each of your projects. So you know how in PWA you go to the SharePoint site and it takes you to that. I'll show you. You can still do that in this as well. However, in this you can see a pre-configured folder structure. First of all, so every time we set up a project or as we migrate you, you can have your pre-configured folder structure come in here, but right within this application, you can upload files and you can do different things in here. So I can come in here, I can say, okay, I want to upload a document. Within this Power App, I can just upload a document. So I don't have to go anywhere else from here. So if I go to, I don't know which user guide this is, but let's say if I just upload this, it is going to go into my engineering folder in the site that is linked to this project. Now, the fact that I'm showing you these documents in context of this project in this Power App doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be done in here. I can open up these locations. So for example, I can go in and I can say open up the SharePoint location. And you will see here that this is just a normal SharePoint site. And we can have this templatized, and we do it mostly for our customers where you zoom in so you could see this. You will be able to maintain most of the structure that you have in PWA sites if we migrate those over for you, and then we can link them with this Power App, and you'll be able to open up these folders. And this is that just document that I uploaded, right? So you see it in here. I can just upload these in here as well, and then they will start becoming available to me in context of this app. What I also have is that it already has pre-built integration with Teams. So you can see for this project, UCSD San Diego extension, I have this team. I'll say, okay, open it in Teams. And as I do that, it is going to just open up this project in Teams for me. I bring it up on the screen in a second. So let's say open a new window. This is my team for this particular project. So all my collaboration will be done in this team in here. I can start talking to other team members in here. I can tag them. I can do all the collaboration in here, and it is automatically linked to this project for me. So again, PWA, not sure if you are all using team integration, you can build it in there. But if you are not with this model driven project app, you can easily do that. What also happens, which is pretty cool, is let's say in that team, I start sharing files, right? So I have a team and I can start uploading files in my Teams channel. All those files, they are available to you in here. So if I go to my UCSD team channel, which I can access directly from here, as you can see, I'll see all those files in here as well. So you always have one place, one consolidated place to be able to see all of your documents against this. So that is kind of just how it is structured. Um, and then lastly, what I want to show you in here before I talk about some of the dashboards, we do have a schedule. This schedule is not as strong as what you see in Microsoft Project Desktop. But when you look at Project Online, there are a lot of feature sets here that are very close to what you have in Project Online. So I have essentially these tasks. I can assign these tasks, and when I pick resources, it is showing me only the resources that are already part of the team. Right. So I can go in and I can say, okay, assign this to Doug. I can go in and I can assign additional tasks to myself, and so on and so forth. And then we also have a mobile app, which I may or may not be able to demo today based on the time. But for example, this takeoff task is assigned to me here. If I log in as myself, I can see this task and then I can mark this task as completed. We have the provision also to be able to track time. So for example, you can see this says estimation duration 8, but a lot of our customers, depending upon the industry you are in, some of you might be, I love the fact that you guys can track time as well. So if you guys are into dailies and you want to track time and you want to be able to see time tracking against tasks, you can do that. And a lot of you might be thinking that, hey, I don't need, I'm not in that space. I'm more about task tracking. I want to just be able to see that this task is done. We can hide these for you, and then you can just track it on a task level as well. So I can go in here and I can say, okay, this task is done, and it automatically calculates the percentages for the milestones. It also tracks dependencies between these tasks. So I can go onto this timeline. I can see these multiple dependencies. I can go in and I can change schedules, so on and so forth. I can just manage all of that from right in here against this schedule that I have. Another feature which most of our customers at least ask for is if you have project plans that you use as a template, you can save this as a template and then you can use it as you create a new project and you can set that template. So I didn't share that, but if I go back to this overview, save it, you see I'm using a template in here. So I didn't create this from scratch. I just used that template and it just brings in all the tasks for me into my schedule. and I'm then able to track activities against those tasks. So that's kind of how it is structured and how it is used as adding tasks in there and I can find resources. And what I also have is I have multiple different types of tasks, and you can add a lot more in here. So, for example, I can have a milestones that would have subtasks, but in some of these things, you might go, okay, they're not relevant to us. They're more industry specific, but some would be relevant to you. And because it's a custom web, a lot of this can be exposed externally as well. So if you have, say, a vendor or a subcontractor or someone externally where you don't necessarily want to consume a license, but you do want to show them their tasks and you want them to be able to take ownership of their tasks, you will be able to go in and assign these to them as well. For that, we do have to configure the portal piece of it. I don't have the portal configured right now, but we can configure that portal in there as well and then just go from there as far as those tasks are concerned. So it kind of is done in that way automatically for you. So this is just an overview of what this thing can do and how it functions. What I'll also try to do is to share my screen and also show you, for example, this one task that is assigned to me app where you can mark some of these tasks completed on the mobile version of it. And you might be thinking that you guys don't want that, you just want project managers to do it. That's fine. It's your option. So I'm not trying to complicate your flow, but I'll just share my screen for a second here. This is the takeoff task that I had on that project plan that I assigned to myself. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, I want to just mark this as completed. So you see if I say mark completed and I say done, it's just going to mark this task as completed. Now I could have added time against this as well, but I don't know your use case, so I don't want to do that. But you see it's now gone from my list. And what I'll do is I'll log off here from this phone and show it to you inside that plan. And you will see that it automatically gets marked as completed over there. So if I leave this and come back to other screen and share that one more time with you guys. So you can see that task that I had, which was assigned to me, it got marked as completed as 100% because I kind of use that mobile app to be able to do that. So I just wanted to share with you that there is a component of it that you can use on the field. You don't need a separate license for that mobile app. So that's another important thing I want to just share with you guys. So you can just use it without any additional license. And last but not least is the fact that we have a lot of dashboards pre-built for this project management app. So you guys can use those and benefit from those. And we usually configure them to whatever your needs are. Modernize these even more, but you can have project management dashboards. You can track a lot of other tasks in here as well. And you can just quickly filter them based on the statuses, customers, project management, uh, what you may have it to your needs to be able to use that piece of it. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the slide deck, unless you have any questions for me there, Muso.
They will actually have a few questions, and
But
in the interest of time, maybe I'll just go through those. Yeah,
okay.
first. So one, I think you've kind of covered that already, but I think it's worth asking again. So Christy here is asking if we need a Dynamics 365 license for this.
No, you don't need a Dynamics 365 license. Like I explained, whatever I showcased to you on the Power Platform is just through a Power Platform license. You don't need a D365 license at all.
Perfect. And Zach asked, do we lose our SharePoint documents? Is this a rip and replace?
No, you have to migrate. So what's happening? I'm answering this question in context of PWA. So you have PWA sites, project sites. Those are going away. So you have to be able to migrate those over. So once you migrate, you're going to link them. If somehow you've already migrated those or you were not using those sites because some of our customers were not, then we will just reuse your existing SharePoint sites. So what we need to do is we need to analyze if what type of SharePoint sites you're using. Do they go away with your PWA expiring? If they are, then we have to first migrate to new SharePoint sites and then link that project tracker like I was showing you. Sorry about this. And if they are not, then we what we will be doing is we will just link to your existing sites, and then in that case you don't have to lose anything. You just will be able to use it as is. So that's kind of how it is structured and how it functions.
Perfect. Thanks, Tayyib. Just a couple more. So I have a question here from John. He says, is our data safe and where does it live?
Your data is as safe as it was before you migrated from PWA. So in previously, your data lived in SharePoint, your tenant. Similarly, now it will live in SharePoint, your tenant. Your project plan app that I was showing you is a Power Platform. It lives in your Azure tenant and as part of your Power Platform. So everything is in your tenant and as secure as it can be under Microsoft security guidelines and security provisions that they have for all of their products.
Perfect. I've got just one more from Thomas. He says, why not just move to Planner? Microsoft says it's free.
Yeah, it is free. I covered that in one of the slides. It just doesn't give you all the features that we discussed, but if it's a good fit for you, going from PWA, that's definitely an option. That's why I had it in the slide. You can go to the planner, but it doesn't have the stage gating, it doesn't have the right level of scheduling. It doesn't have any automations that you can have around Power Automate and Power Platform. So it doesn't come close to what we are talking about. But if your needs do not necessarily necessitate that you go to something like this, then you can definitely go to Planner as well.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Tayyib. That's the questions I had for now.
All right. So here, and I think we covered that. So we're talking about replacing PWA with Power Platform and keep Microsoft Project for deep scheduling. Why we talk about that is the desktop schedule that you have. Nothing I showed you kind of replaces that. It has tons of functionality. Nothing that Microsoft offers, at least for me, Plan 3, Plan 5 can replace that too. So you can just have those Microsoft desktop projects and then you upload them into SharePoint and link them with these projects that I was showing you. So I just want to set these expectations that the deep scheduling that you have there, you would still need if you're using it. But whatever you get in PWA, we can replace based on the solution that I showed you from tracking perspective, visibility perspective, you should be able to migrate over. This is kind of how we go about migrating. So we pull your projects across. Again, we review whether you have sites that are going to go away, projects. We put them into this Power Platform solution. We relink your SharePoint sites so they don't go away unless they are going away, and then we have to migrate them first and then relink them. We recreate your views that you had in PWA, and then we can take you live very quickly. Another thing that I did not cover is that a lot of the functions that teams are performing outside PWA, like POs are being done and they are being done in an ERP system, and vendor is being managed in another system. And then there are some people who have done some integrations with PWA, mostly they're disjointed. What I showed you lends itself for that extensibility. You can incorporate a lot of those features in there. I didn't show those, but that's definitely possible as well. What we can do for you is, if you're interested, we can have a quick call. We can review what you're using in PWA. If you need after that an assessment, we can have a quick assessment with you, and then we can give you a plan to migrate. That's something that we've been doing for a lot of our customers, and would be more than happy to help you as well in moving you across from PWA onto Power Platform. This is just an assessment methodology in case you decide for us to review your systems to be able to do that. I won't spend too much time on this, but what I do want to share is that this is us at AlphaBOLD and this is everything that we do. So one of your questions was that if you need Dynamics license, do Dynamics, but this does not require a Dynamics license. So you can achieve pretty much everything I covered without having to go to a Dynamics license. And with that, I'll transition it back to you.
Thank you, Tayyib. Well, thank you all for those who joined in. I hope it was an informative session. As we've been saying, AlphaBOLD, we're actually a technology consulting company. Because we're a Microsoft partner, we actually do a bunch of Microsoft products, but we're not pushing any particular shiny product because, like we said, we do solutions based on what problem sets we get. And the idea here is, as well as like they said earlier, we can always do a quick fit call. We can do an assessment of what your needs are, what your workflows are, and probably give you recommendations on how to go about that. If you'd like, please reach out to your customer service or sales representatives who've invited you to these webinars or who's sharing these videos with you. You can always email us at sales@alphabold.com to book a free 30-minute call. If you just avoid the hassle, we've actually devised and we've come up with a full free guide for a PWA migration plan. So if any of you is interested, just please email us and we'll send this over to you. Thank you all for joining in. Tayyab, thank you for your time and looking forward to seeing you guys in scheduled meetings.
Thank you so much.